I was going to speak a little more on Halloween, but I remembered earlier in the week I had begun sort of a transparency type of thing on what's been happening to Sister Heyman and I over the last several months, year and a half or so. And I have to be able to finish it. I think I've spoken a lot about Halloween anyway. You pretty much know my take on Halloween, essentially. Essentially it's your choice. As long as you're not falling down and worshiping the ghouls and goblins and so on, then you're not going to be sent to hell. But I understand that making a good point about taking that element out of this particular day is definitely something that the Lord would approve. But I should probably just finish up what I was talking about earlier regarding what Sister Heyman and I had been going through. And this is just a wrap up. I can't say it hasn't been tough, but because it has. I think anyone who's been a caregiver, you know that it's not the easiest thing to do. And then when you try to think in the future, sometimes it gets very daunting and even scary. So you try not to think too far in the future because you understand the verse that says, "The sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof," to take no thought of tomorrow. And essentially that's what I've been trying to do. Living every day, taking each day as it comes. Sharing laughter with Sister Heyman. And sometimes there may even be a little disagreement or two. But I've learned during all this time not to take the disagreement too seriously. You learn those type of things when life-changing events take place that you wish you would have thought of earlier. But even with that, what I just said, what you can't do is hold it, because then you would feel guilty about every single thing you've done, and you would be no good to anyone, and you definitely wouldn't be any good to yourself. I have a tendency to look up because I'm trying to think about things, and I've gotten a review of look at your audience, so I'm gonna try to do that. Person who said it, he knows, and he knows that I do listen to him. But anyway, it's been almost a year since Sister Heyman left the skilled nursing facility. It's been almost a year since we were last. Remember, she had to go to the hospital while she was there because her blood sugar went high, and she stayed in the hospital out there in Baldwin Park for a few days. And I do remember. I remember because it was about this time. We were voting for the presidential election. So it's been interesting kind of looking over the year now. It's been, almost a year. It's been maybe 2 to 3 months since she had a seizure. I said it's one of the scariest things I've ever been in, being able to see that. I would admit it freaked me out. But we did get through it. She's taken her medication. Sometimes she doesn't want to take it. And to be honest, I can understand why. Because I take medication for the pain in my back and in my legs and in my feet. And sometimes it seems that the amount of pills I take are almost rivaling hers, which is not a good thing, but is what you live with. And so I understand not wanting to take medicines at certain times, because essentially it gets tiresome. And I was able to understand why she doesn't really want to swallow the capsules, because as capsules break, it is absolutely nasty. One of those capsules that I usually take broke in my mouth, and the stuff was just very few things I've tasted as nasty as that. But you get it all down. And eventually she does too. Learned a lot about her and about myself during these times. I know that she still believes in God, because that's who she cries to when she's in pain. Today, because I've been so, I won't say spooked, but so concerned that if I did anything like snuggle, that it might cause her to, well, you know how you feel like you're going to break somebody if you get too close. And I've had that feeling ever since she first had the stroke. The mini stroke, not even the big one, but the mini stroke as well. But for the first time, I guess in over a year, I just snuggled with her. Just snuggled. And I had to remember, I can't have my neck in a certain position because I'm getting an operation on my neck next week. So I had to kind of cut short the experiment, but it actually felt nice being close to the one I love. And she was fine with it. And so I guess as things may change, circumstances may change, there's still things that remain the same. We still love each other. And we still care about each other. I've learned that even when I'm doing this, I have to hear out for things, because if I'm gone too long and she doesn't know, she gets agitated. So there have been several times during the last week or two that I've started to tape something like this, and I had to stop because I heard her voice. And I knew she was looking for me and she could not see me. So I had to stop it right there. And some may think it's a bother that she knows I'm around the house and she's just selfish. But she has a right to be. Her whole world has changed so much. And all she wants is for the one she loves to be with her, to know that he's right there. Does that keep me at home most of the time? Yes, it does. But I can still go out and get things to eat because she knows I'm telling her I'm getting something for you to eat. And so she'll let me go. And as soon as I come back, I have food with me. So she's okay with that. Usually wait until she's asleep if I go too many other places so she can rest and she won't be agitated. But I have to understand why. And And I remember asking her, and I kept this in my mind, that if I leave, she doesn't know that I'm going to come back. And that frightens her. So there are times where I come back home and I'm gone for an inordinate amount of time. And I see her tears. I see that she's on the verge of panicking. And I know it's scary for her. But if I'm right there, she's calm, she's okay. When she raises her voice, it's not necessarily because she's in pain so much, that she just wants to know that I'm around. And I'm beginning to have that understanding of what's going on with her. This may go on for the rest of our lives. I've had to come to the realization that you can only do so much within the first year and a half of a stroke. Yes, Lord can heal. He can do miracles, and I believe that still. But let's say he does not, for whatever reason. That does not mean I don't believe that God can do it. But he chose not to. And I have to be satisfied with that. I have to be satisfied. It's when I first had to come to that conclusion, it was very daunting. That's why I taped something regarding grief and grieving the life that one once had. And I still feel that way. It is a grieving process. Not quite like when you lose someone completely. Not even close. I'm not even thinking I'm even close to that. That's a totally different animal. But there is something to be said of things that you had used to do, thought you were going to continue to do, and you find you can't do those things anymore. As athletes go through that same process when they have to retire. Because they can't, professional athletes I mean, because they can't do the same things they used to do. I remember my son when he switched and concentrated on fully academics. It was a grief process he had to go through because he loved baseball, loved the smell of the field, loved the crack of the bat, loved to run around in the place, loved to compete. He was a very tenacious competitor. But these are thoughts that kind of run through my mind, saints. Isn't it? It's been a year of revelation, of understanding where I am and understanding how far I have to go. When I say I'm patient, I think I'm patient. The Lord takes me to a place where I have to exert even more patience. So I still have more to grow. I learned a lot about the Word of God. There's more I have to learn about the Word of God. Dealing with one's own weaknesses, I have to learn about that as well. But also, not just to understand my weaknesses, but to understand that in my weakness, Jesus is made strong. And I have to learn that in a real situation, under real circumstances, not just reading from the Bible, but understanding what it actually means. So, here I am, on the verge of 2 operations. One for my neck, and one similar operation for my back. The thing that at once cheers me and scares me, to be frank, to be honest, is how they discovered the deterioration of my neck vertebrae. And I wasn't even aware of it. I don't feel any undue weakness in my hands or my arms. I don't feel any numbness anywhere. I don't feel any shooting pain like I do down my legs and my feet. But possibly if this had gone on unchecked, most likely would have had problems that would have led me to at one time become close to a quadriplegic. God have mercy on me for them to discover it just from the slightest of movements I made on one of the tests that were done. Then they did an MRI and found the damage that was there, the deterioration that was there. And so next week I'm looking at this surgery. The funny thing about it is, it's not that I'm trying to ignore it. I'm not. I know it's coming. And be honest, I look forward to it. Because whatever's there is going to be corrected. And the Lord, I give full confidence that the Lord will guide the surgeon's hands. That they will do what they're supposed to do. That whatever in my neck will help to mitigate the sensations that I feel in my legs, in my back, in my feet. It just tells you that our body does deteriorate, and we're looking for that future body that we've been talking about all this time. It really brings it home. But in the meantime, I still work with my wife. Our morning starts when and it could be 7, it could be 8, it could be 9, it could be 10 o'clock. Get up. First thing I do is check her sugar. Make sure her blood sugar is at a good level. Then give the appropriate amount of insulin. Then I make sure she gets her morning meds. After which, I promptly get her something to eat, because I remember I gave her insulin. So I don't want her blood sugar to go too low. You learn those things. And you learn from them, that you don't wait like 2-3 hours. You go whenever you can. And usually it's a simple breakfast that she can get. So I get her that. She then takes a little nap. That's why I can do this right now, because I'm giving her that little piece. Sometimes she'll wake up and she'll start calling me, and I have to go. Sometimes she stays asleep. When these things begin to happen, well, then comes lunchtime. On a day like this, she has to go to dialysis. I usually don't give her lunch now, to kind of keep her weight down somewhat, because dialysis is about not only cleaning her blood, but taking all the fluid out of her that had built up since the last time we took dialysis. In other words, you're doing like, we urinate because our kidneys work. Hers doesn't. So taking the fluid out of her is that way of disposing of it, and then cleansing the blood as well. If it wasn't a dialysis day and I plan her lunch, And then I'll go out and get her lunch at some time, maybe 1, maybe 2 o'clock. But I'll also check her insulin at that time as well. Check her blood sugar there. So 3 times a day, I check her blood count. I'll even check her blood count before she goes to dialysis today, even though she wasn't eating, but I want to make sure it doesn't go too low. They're just things I do. Just to let you know, these are things that I do. If I need to change her, I'll change her. If I need to give her a sponge bath, I will. If I need to clean her, I'll clean her. I'm used to it. Doesn't bother me anymore. Hasn't bothered me for quite some time. That's my wife, and that's what you do. Then, at some time, either when we come back from dialysis or at some time during the evening, okay, it's time for your evening medicines. And it's time to give you your insulin for the evening, not just the one that counteracts the food, but also the long-acting ones that's supposed to work overnight. So instead of 1 shot, she gets 2 shots. Sometimes I can do it pretty well. Sometimes it draws blood. I have to fix that. And sometimes it hurts. And I have to apologize. On days like this, I know there's going to come a time where I have to start preparing her for dialysis. So because I know that they have to stick 2 needles in what is called a fistula. And for her, the needles hurt. So we've hit upon a way to mitigate the pain. We spread that fistula over with lidocaine. You get it over-the-counter Aspartame, but it has 4% lidocaine. Helps to deaden the pain. So if I do it right, as they stick the needle in, both needles in to draw the blood and to return the blood, she won't feel any pain. Sometimes she does. I said, oh, missed it. But then also, I make sure that, again, she's taken care of. I keep her in her pajamas because people go there in dialysis. They're usually in there in clothes. Some are in their pajamas. I tend to keep her in hers as long as she's presentable. So I pick her up off the bed. I don't carry her all the way off because I couldn't do that. But the Lord blessed me that blessed her, have her give enough strength that she would help, that she can stand up with my help. But she can stand up for a little bit. Then if I need to straighten her up, I do that before I put her in her wheelchair. And I take her to the car, and I transfer her from the wheelchair. She stands up for a little bit into the car itself. I try to park as close to the curb as possible so that don't have to push her up because we're driving the Highlander, the SUV, so it's higher than a regular car. She has a sling in there so that when we get to the place, we are able to put her in the sling, and with the Hoyer lift, we'll put her into a chair, which also weighs her as well. We put her into the chair where we sit there for about 4 hours as they have the blood go in and out. Didn't know that which makes sense, but only recently, when they started doing it to her, that realized that they actually take these big needles, stick one in an artery that's specially made, and a vein that's specially made for that procedure. So no wonder why it hurts. It would hurt anyway. but she goes through it. And so then I adjust her seat up or down. Try to keep as little as possible, because the more she rests, the better she is. We stayed there for 4 hours. When we come home, I get her dinner. Sometimes I get her dinner while she's sitting in the chair the last hour or so of being in the chair taking dialysis, so that when we get out, all we gotta do is take her evening medicines, make sure she's set, give her her food, and most often she passes out as she's eating. I know it seems to be just it's not really a grind. It's something that you do every day. And you're used to it. And I can see myself continuing to do this when everything is taken care of with my neck and my back. But after all is said and done, saints, I'm grateful. Grateful that God has given me the strength to take care of my wife, given me the know-how to understand what things are taking place in her body and what I need to do to make her feel comfortable and to be able to withstand various things. I thank God for allowing me to now be the calm person, whereas before she was the calm person, I wasn't. Now I'm the calm person and she's not. And I thank God for keeping me from feeling sorry for myself and feeling sorry for her and feeling guilty and all the things that come with these particular things. But of course, this testimony is still going, and it will continue to go. And as things happen, I'll voice it. I won't tell you every single thing, because that would, of course, be an intrusion on her life as well as mine. But as the Lord blesses, I'll let you know how the Lord blesses. In the meantime, just keep us in prayer that the Lord keeps us stable and our minds stayed on Him. But after all is said and done, in all things, Paul has learned to be content. That's where I'm getting at. Lord has made it so that we're able to do this, because many people can't. So I thank God that He's put us in a position that we just all have to worry about is taking care of each other day by day. And the Lord oversees it all. Thank you for listening to this old man. And may God bless you and give you peace, hope, and love for today. God bless you. Take care.